So I've been asked by a famous person to give her a salvation plan for her life if Portia leaves her. And Portia might leave Ellen for her lies and the fact that she brought COVID into the home because she was unwilling to stop her show and do things like most people do today with technology. The challenge, of course, of American citizens today is that we need touch, we need intimacy, we need friendship. But at the same time, we have this marvelous thing going on called COVID, which allows us to push people away in a way that's either lawful or just immoral. The liars of America don't think about what they're doing anymore. The liars in America might be you, might be me, it's hard to say anymore. You see, according to Evie Pompouris, everybody lies, and she is a marvelous upcoming author that has quite the eyes. But what I can tell you about what she can see from having been in her position way up high is that people often think about life as pie in the sky. Pie in the sky means I can have anything I like as long as I go for it. That doesn't imply effort, does it? It implies I will take what I want, I will do what I please, and I will win for me. That selfishness is what we're seeing all across TV. We're seeing it in different types of ways, almost in the way that Roddenberry did in his days of taking Star Trek and splitting up the races into Klingons and Ferengi and whatnot. Even the ship's computer had an attitude, and at one point that marvelous actress came out to be Diana Sirtis's mother on that show, talking about the use and abuse of elderly and whether or not they need to remain in their lives or whether they should be put down as if they're some sort of animal that can't thrive. The liars of America are like that today. They do not believe in life, liberty in any way. They believe in their life over your life. And unfortunately, we are facing an upcoming civil war. In 10 to 15 years, we could have a real problem that will not be any kind of war. It's why we keep seeing these shows on television, like the horrible film that I had to walk out on that my son wanted to see, and I tried when he was of age to do that with him, but I eventually said I can't do this anymore. And it was a situation almost like COVID, where there was some sort of an illness that was spanning the land, and that doctor had lost his family in a way, or left them to try to fight the good fight for our rights across the land, and to keep the people who are living in the shadows and burying themselves in as cannibals, if you will, out of sight. Now, what we've also seen on television is an impact of zombies on TV, which I can't say that I like the concept of The Walking Dead. Do you? It's certainly a concept out of many movies, and openly probably the best one was where they got obliterated by God in Raiders of the Lost Ark. But openly that's okay today, because in the holy realm of The Conjuring, which is likely to be out again in second and third editions, is the truth of the truth that demons both on earth and in the spirit world exists. But the difficulty of what I saw when I was asked to edit something and cut something as a preview or as a documentary on the basis of the film, which I was sort of humbled to be given honors upon, is that in reality what's missing is why she's able to do what she can do. And the reason she can do what she can do is because she has the Lord's mark on her. Not exactly the Lion of Judah, because I'm still trying to figure out exactly what that is and where it's come from, because that tends to be a part of some esoteric versions of Christendom. But openly, I do carry a marvelous Harry Potter, from a super little Wiccan and mystical and gaming shop in Urbana. But openly, I also know that people don't always appreciate pagans, because pagans like to believe in a lot of aspects of God, and that the Lord has not abandoned the whole world, but the world has abandoned the Lord. And these are biblical verses that you can find in any Bible, but the ESV is not something that is tribal. It just happens to be a beautiful copy that I own today and do in every way. When we're looking at how we plan our life, Michael, we don't know exactly what's happening in other people's life is true, unless we're neighbors and we really check in with them to say, how are you? But what I'm talking about today is what God is doing across America in a way that's different, in a way that's thrilling, in a way that's convincing. that there are people with COVID who go on thriving and living and producing. There are other people who simply stick to family and friends and somehow are still surviving. In America, we know John Maxwell's concept of survival, security, and significance. If you're living in a time of significance, what are you doing for those in survival? If you're living in a situation of security, how are you getting forward in your thrival? I cannot tell you the number of times that I get sick of my own rhymes, but what I can tell you is that God is not displeased with my life, despite the fact that I live a very humbled and marvelous, non-Jewish, non-secular, but totally priest life. You see, I've taken a vow somewhat of chastity for my upcoming wife. Now, I can't say she did the same, and that's her sin in this world of game. But what I can tell you is that the next child that comes from the Lord for my life may get the best loving years of my life. You see, I've patiently waited 10 years for that one remarkable kiss that I was owed and deserved, but unfortunately, people, men in particular, tainted that opportunity. Bastards of Satan and the legal law enforcement network ruined me, decided to practice their version of medicine on my life, of which they had no right to participate in any way. It's called malpractice in their industry, malfeasance in the industry of any type of nurse or doctor that participated against me, and the reality is not one of them had the right to participate in my lawful health care. They were not people of choice that I needed there, but the truth is all they had to do, really simple and through, was to give me one shot a month. And they failed to do it every time over 3 months. But I also had siblings that tried to interfere with my right to have a well-protected, fully insulated heart. And if I'm having difficulty speaking today, it's not because of my own problems in any way. It's because a black child in his 20s thought he had the right to beat me down without my consent and stomp on the back of my head in a situation of assault and premeditated murder. It took the Holy Ghost to make him to pull off me, but did anyone in the law enforcement officers group of the 3 from the city to the university to security do anything to stop his life on campus? And the answer is no, they did not. And the pastor that embodies him, not at all, enables him to sleep on their porch, having stolen comforters and other things from me, did nothing more than make things worse for me. And yet that ministry uses Muslim hands and others to feed many people in alleged poverty on campus. So great, that's their outreach, but how many people do they actually have in their congregation? I'd like to know. I was told by someone from that organization who gave me money, a paltry $10, that they no longer allow Koreans in their church, but I don't believe that. What I think is that we have people using the houses of the Lord in wrong ways. What I know is that many people don't want to go to church today because of what they're learning in forms of hatred, racism, and abuses on their lives. What I can say to you without fail is that the loving God above all people does not teach any child of God to hate, does not teach any child of God to rebuke in a way that's not right for that child. Now, let's be careful about that, because we got a lot of pastors that want to run all across the nation rebuking men and women for what God has made. And you cannot do that. It's actually a vital verse in the New and the Old Testaments that we as humans do not have the right to be perverse to abuse the verses of the Lord. That says everything he has made as of today is holy, from the get-go, from birth to death. However, there are people who choose to do unholy things, and that is where they fail themselves.